Hello, I'm Hiram, millscalehouse.com, coming to you from the No Thrills YouTube channel. I wanted to talk about discs. Particularly this video is for just what disc to get if you're starting out welding and for what reason. I figured this out when I first started out. I was buying the same disc over and over, the flap disc, but after watching other YouTube videos, that gave me, a good bit of information, and I'll link those videos so you can watch them yourself. But this is a short and dirty video of if you're getting into welding and you're working out of your garage. You'll most likely just start buying these flap discs. They're relatively cheap. They're about $5 to $8, and they last a little bit. You'll get some use out of them, but they're not if you can add some other disc, these will go a lot. These will last a lot longer for you. So you'll save money on these by using these other discs. Starting first, there's these furred discs. These are really good discs for reducing large weld beads or just pieces of metal you want to get rid of. Here's a used one. The same disc. So for example, if you have a large bead like this, that furred disc will grind it down fairly fast, make it look like that. You're gonna see how it protrudes right there. So these last a decent amount, and they're somewhat pricey for a pack of them, but they do last for a while. The next, going back to the flap disc, you use these for burrs, or slightly rounding your edges so it looks like this, kind of cleaned up a little bit. And this is what they look like new and used. This is actually slightly different. This is a DeWalt disc. I recommend these. This is from Harbor Freight. Don't buy a flap disc from Harbor Freight. Next are these Bristle Brushes. They're like a plastic, made by 3M. They're pretty pricey, but they're good for removing mill scale. This one's not brand new. This is good for taking something that looks like this. See the gray, the mill scale on there? Turn it into this, which is the polished. That's from using this very lightly. Don't push too hard. And then try not to hit the edges. If you hit the edges of the bristles on the corner of the metal, they'll come off and they'll hit you in the stomach, and it hurts, it stings. It'll make you pause. So be careful when you're using these. One, you're tearing it up, and then two, you're prone to getting hurt. Last disc here, your basic cutting discs. They're just for cutting straight. You don't want to kind of bind them in any way because they'll get tore up and start shooting pieces of it at, in different directions. But this will be for cutting, cutting a flat, straight piece of metal in half. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend getting a saw, but if you're on a budget in the beginning of your welding career, then these will get you by on some small stuff, but I wouldn't use it on large pieces. It's inefficient and it's dangerous. Here's a traditional grinding disc. I don't really use these. I just have one that I had bought a while back, but these are now that I have these, I don't even really mess with this. It's not efficient for me. Going back to the mill scale, one other process that I'll do, and then this is also talked about in some of these other videos about using vinegar or muriatic acid when taking off mill scale. This is a piece that I had put in vinegar overnight, and this is what it looks like. And so I'll go over it lightly with this disc, and it'll end up looking polished and shiny like that. The mill scale on certain pieces of metal, I've bought some that will come off overnight. So this was sitting overnight, and it's pretty cleaned up. But I've had stuff that I've sat in there for days, stuff similar. These were actually in there, and it didn't really do anything. So it's not just a one-stop shop for vinegar. Muriatic acid's going to be a lot more efficient in less time. But it's just, I'm a bit of an environmentalist, and I don't really want to deal with stabilizing it and then disposing of it. So I'll just stick with the vinegar, and I plan my projects in advance. If somebody wants some brackets, I'll go ahead and cut all the pieces and put them in the bucket of vinegar, and just add a day on the delivery. That way I don't have to waste grinding disc. One, it's a waste of material if you can do it with a couple $1 gallon of vinegar. And I use the vinegar over and over. This isn't just the only project I have, but you go to Costco and you get them pretty cheap for large containers of vinegar. So that's it. Hope you liked this information. You don't have to subscribe. If you want to subscribe, you're fine, but you don't have to. And thank you. Take care.